So last week, while you were away, Dan, we had a hard time, or I did, with corralling the show. And so we had a meeting
I assume that
afterwards.
was Billy, right? That's Billy's fault?
No, it was just a general. We were all.
It was me,
What
Dan.
is that supposed to mean?
It's my fault.
We were all on Zoom, and so I was trying to figure out a way. How do we signal to everyone we've begun where you can start doing show? And so I bought one of the, or actually I didn't. Our tremendous production team, Hildy and Kristen, decided to get me a prop to signal when the show can begin. When we're eligible to record on video and audio, there will be no let's leave this behind. We're good to go. So I would like to signal the beginning of today's show with an official action.
Wow. Okay. I love this. Jessica does not love it. She's making a face at you. You seem to enjoy
Well, it's
that.
right next to her head also. It's
And
really
Jessica
loud.
seemed to think it was lame, but it was old-timey in a way. Happy Greg Cote Thursday. Greg Cote is really old-timey. He came in here today,
Greg.
and he greeted me with a why I oughta. And we were trying to figure out where that came from.
Tread
whether it was
lightly, Dan.
Jackie Gleason or the Three Stooges or the Marx Brothers, the why I oughta.
Why I oughta.
I feel it was like Three Stooges in that one.
I feel like it was.
Yeah.
I feel like it was Jackie Gleason. I feel like it was the Honeymooners. Regardless, it's very old, and Greg Cote is bringing the old around here. But Jessica, what are you objecting to?
I'm not objecting to it. It's actually a good idea. It's just that Witty with the hat and the glasses right now is giving me Steven Spielberg vibes.
Okay, good vibes for you to be giving off.
Fine vibes.
This is my directorial debut, so why not?
I was watching just yesterday. Couldn't believe
Vibes.
how it held up. One of the Raiders of the Ark, Lost Ark movies, in 1984, and I was amazed that 40 years ago that Steven Spielberg was able to make something giant that, while, it's not what Avatar is going to be by James Cameron in 2022, it was still pretty exceptional. I wanted to ask you guys, there are a number of things locally I want to talk about. And I do want to get to James Cameron objecting to people who are objecting to his next Avatar movie being 3 hours long. And he's like, I don't understand. My kids will watch anything in 1 hour installments. He doesn't understand. We don't watch it that way anymore. Like, you got to give it to, if you give it to us in three hours, it better be 3 parts. We're not sitting down for a 3-hour movie anymore. We ran off Scorsese and The Irishman on Netflix because we're like, get out of here with your 3 hours.
Right.
Even if it's Pesci and De Niro, we don't want 3 hours of anything unless you make it 3 parts or 8 parts. If you make it 8 parts, we'll watch it in 8 parts.
I'm watching a show right now week to week, and it is excruciating. And the show's good. It's not amazing, but I'm still, every time I finish an episode, I'm like, this is so stupid. I have to wait till next week. What an absolute waste of my time. Why didn't I just start this in August? I hate myself.
I have taken to leaving things until I can have all of them. I'm very upset right now, as I was with Ozark, with Better Call Saul, because I want all of them at once. We're feeding the instant gratification in a way that can't be put back in the tube. But as Witty says, it's hard to corral people. One of the many things I've learned during a brutal 24-month stretch, be careful, people, building a business during a pandemic.
Hopefully we won't have another one.
Is there another business? Is there another? I have learned more than anything else, there are dangers in letting everyone do what they want. And this, I bring you now Stugots, because Billy and Whittingham don't know where he is. He's driving 4 hours. He has promised 80 things, including 18 holes with Mahomes and Kelsey, just like he did all of last season. He promised us Kelsey every week last season, was going to join us during the season. I haven't heard from Kelsey since the last time at Tahoe. What has he promised for content? Because last year all we got was Chris Cote getting hit in the balls by Ray Romano's tee shot.
Upper thigh.
And this, we've got Greg Cote from Tahoe, this.
I'm gonna get some golf ASMR.
Oh, fuck me.
That's what we got from a trip to Tahoe. Cote came in here today with his Why I Oughta was born of. Me and Tony have started a committee, the Snubbed Tahoe crew. I don't know whether Tony's the president or
I'm a 2-time member.
Wait, you guys
So am
were
I.
snubbed? I turned down my invitation. Tahoe, please.
Billy, you're laughing maniacally back there. Who else was snubbed?
Me.
I don't know how
wasn't.
this trip got made. I don't know. What's funny about it is no one's ever invited me to Tahoe.
That's
racist, Dan. Last year we said, "Do you want to go?" You said no.
Invitation to Tahoe. I'm not making that up.
Dan, we sat outside the hey, Tahoe is available to you if you want to go. And you said I'd go home and I'd talk to whoever I got to talk to, and you never responded.
Who am I got to talk to? There's only one person.
Well,
Who else was snubbed? Who's in part of the Tahoe Snub Club? I don't know how this decision got made. I was not making these decisions.
All right, Tony and I are the founding members of the Lake Tahoe Snub
You went last year.
Let me explain.
How
Let me
many
explain.
free yearly trips to Tahoe can you possibly have?
More than one is the short answer. Tony and I are the charter members because we're the only two in this crowd who went last year and then were denied. Expected to go again, hoped to go again, didn't happen. Snub Club.
How can you be the founding members when there are people here that never went?
Well, because you don't know the experience like Tony and I did.
Exactly, because I never went.
I would argue that Chris Cody should be the president of the club, and he has it worse because he played last year, and now he has to go along and watch others play.
Yeah, that's
Wait,
bad.
he's not playing?
No, and he's the best
Who's
golfer in the
playing
group
with
by
Stugots?
far.
Did Mike Ryan bump him?
Yes.
See, now that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, how'd that happen?
That's really unjust.
Look, okay,
No, it is.
I am actually the chair.
Unjust.
I
It is.
am the chair of the Tahoe committee. So these are all my decisions. So you can
Yeah, it's a
you can
bad
you can
one.
you can have a
Wow.
go. You can have a go at me,
And I will.
if you like. I made decisions based off of who didn't go last year. So Stugots had Stugots plays because that's
He
sort
should
of
play.
Oh, but I
That-
think
that-
this is
that-
the
that's
last
how it
year for
goes.
that if we don't get anything. Like, I believe if this is another series of
But
lies, then
Stugots isn't in charge of content. Stugots is in charge of being Stugots.
we have a crew that it doesn't seem anyone is in charge of the content based on what we got from Tahoe last year. And based on what a waste of money most of these trips end up being.
But Dan, I mean, you said but for Greg Cody, giving us sound that we've used multiple times, Ray Romano hitting Chris Cody, and various other things that
And an
you keep saying,
earthquake.
an earthquake.
Yeah.
Like, but
Chris
for,
doing
but
mystery
for,
crate on gummies.
Right.
Try buying an earthquake. Can't do it.
But
Just
for,
happened
but
last
for,
week.
but for, that's all content that we got out of it.
We were promised in the going to Tahoe that we would get the celebrity people who
Well-
were playing in Tahoe.
Well, that's true. Carlton was on last
Oh,
year.
we also got the story about Brian Kelly eating by himself alone
Yes.
at a
Yes.
Great
Yeah.
visual.
So
Fantastic.
this year will be a test
Had to
because
be
we
there,
are
though.
we are moving broadcast location. So we are hoping that will lead to an increase in quality. This morning, it's currently 5:44 over there, but this morning is supposed to be the day that the quality of the interviews and the guests will improve. So we'll judge today on the basis of how that content goes. Now, Greg, to answer your question about being left out, I sincerely apologize that Stugots did that to you. Because
I thought you
Whoa,
made
whoa,
the.
whoa, whoa, whoa,
You
whoa,
called
whoa,
the
whoa,
shot
whoa,
a minute
Chairman?
ago.
Passing the buck.
No, I am not passing
Wow.
the buck. What happened was last
He never had the buck,
Tuesday
apparently.
when you were here.
Why does
Tuesday.
Stugots always have the buck?
Stugots always has the buck because last
That
Tuesday
buck was stolen.
Stugots goes up to Greg and says, "Greg, you're coming along this year, buddy." Like he made you promises, right? That you'd be a part of the Tahoe clan yet again this year.
Yeah,
Without ever consulting me, he knows that I am in charge of this project. And so he never said to me, "Hey, I'm going to go tell Greg that he's playing." I would have said to him, "Unfortunately, we don't have a spot for Greg to go this year." And I apologize that your hopes were brought up there. And you were replaced with other people who got the chance to go this year.
No, I get it. I mean, it's a golf tournament, so one of the people playing in it naturally should be someone who really doesn't play golf at all. I understand that. Right.
Yeah.
Harsh.
I was
Was that
told.
harsh? That was too harsh.
I
right?
was told that one of the members is already up this morning, and last night, from my understanding, based on the schedule, was one of the big events, which was the welcome party with all the celebrities.
Oh,
Where
yeah.
last year they
Welcome
saw Brian Kelly, so we could,
Last year, also, this is where Stugots got his hug from Aaron Rodgers,
yes,
too, correct?
yeah,
Yes.
who now has a new tattoo. We can get to that later.
Do you know where Stugots is? Have you spoken? You in charge of
No.
wrangling Stugots? Do you know
Oh,
if
no,
he's on
no,
the
no.
highway? Do you know if he's there yet?
Last I heard from Chris Cody, who's there, who I was told was there to produce, said that he heard that Stugotz was an hour away still, and that was at like 8 or 9 o'clock Eastern. So I don't know that he even made the welcome party.
He missed all of the interviews that were set up for yesterday, right? He missed all of those. There were like 5:30 interviews. There was a shotgun start, something that was happening at 5:30.
No, that's today. That's today. Yesterday was the welcome party where you can lay some groundwork. There's celebrities everywhere.
Big
there's
time, yeah.
there's Brian Kelly eating brisket. That's
Smooth,
that is
yeah.
essentially what there's an introductory meeting as well where Justin Timberlake will stand in the back of the room and crack wise. There's a big presentation. There's a magician. There's all kinds of laying the groundwork for celebrities that'll be there.
Well,
So
the Dead show was canceled last night, so
Yeah.
that might be why there was a late start. But the rest of their tour is on as scheduled. They did a free airing of the Wrigley Field show that me and Stugotz saw a few weeks ago last night on their website. It was
Where
pretty
was the
awesome,
Dead
yeah.
show that was supposed to be last night?
Saratoga Springs, New York.
Oh, okay. So he's heading in the exact opposite.
I also should let you guys know they have a doubleheader coming up in New York. Stugotz will most certainly be at, so we should just mark that off on the calendar right
Okay.
now.
Good.
He said
Chris.
he was going to that.
Crack wise. Is that what I just heard?
Yeah,
That's
crack
right.
wise.
He was cracking
You
wise.
go there, you crack wise.
Cracking
I
it.
mean,
What?
Chris
Wise
Cody
cracks?
is crack wise.
yeah,
Okay.
I mean Justin Timberlake loves to be the joke maker in the back of the room. He was absolutely voted class clown in high school. I can assure you of that.
He was getting clowned on Twitter recently for that dance video that went viral and everyone was making fun of him. Do you guys see that?
No.
Oh. They
It
were
looked like him.
well, it was him dancing at a concert and someone tweeted it and was like, I can't believe this man like ruined Janet Jackson's career or something
Oh,
like that.
wow.
And it had like 100,000 retweets.
But
and
he
it was
must have
him-
been dancing well, correct? He
No,
dances well.
That was, the point of the video was like he wasn't dancing that well.
Is he not? Okay, wait, put it on the poll, Guillermo, at LeBatard Show. Is Justin Timberlake a good dancer? I simply assume that he dances well. Billy, what can you
Hey.
tell me before I get to the local stuff today? Where you are with what Stugotz has promised, what you expect to get made by Stugotz,
Okay.
and if you expect Stugotz to show up anywhere where he has promised to show up.
So you and I and Witty are viewing this differently, right? You say what Stugotz has promised, where I view it as what Stugotz has threatened me he's going to do. Because what he laid out to me on Tuesday was 4 days of record, which, by the way, is every time he goes out of town and he feels some sense of guilt. He's like, buddy, we're going to record a lot this week. And he sends out like 4 days of planned recordings. That's going to take up, like, if they come true, 20 hours of my day every single day. To which I want to respond like, Stugotz, like, I still work today. Like, I still have the job that I did today. And, like, I'm not going to be around at 9 p.m. Eastern to be doing these things. Like, but I also know that it's not going to happen. So I don't have that argument with him, right? So what I was promised or told was on tap, probably wouldn't get you too excited, was a Hank Goldberg memorial stupidity with Josh Darrow.
Wow, roaming
And maybe Allison, who I went and reached out to her and I said, are you part of this thing? And she said, absolutely not. I said, okay, well, I guess that's not happening. And then I think he said, we're going to have plenty of stuff in Tahoe. Don't even worry about it, but no specifics. And I said, well, just let me know your schedule so I know, because like I had a guest booker reach out with a guest that could be available today, like potentially in that window. And he's like, I still don't know my tea time. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I heard your tea time was 1 o'clock local time for you, but like, not going to argue with you on this. Like, if you don't know your tea time, okay, we don't know your tea time. So I don't know what we're going to get today.
Okay, great.
Something maybe potentially.
Something maybe is the greatest of promises.
But that's why I'm telling you, someone's already up over there, and we can kind of check in and see what it is that's on tap today, because I'm told that this is the person who is in charge, which sounds good until you hear the name is Lewis, and then it's kind of like, okay.
I don't want to talk to Lewis.
Okay, good.
And you need to stop inviting Lewis's commentary to the microphone when he's nowhere near a microphone or in another state.
Well, no, he can call in. He can
I
tell
know,
us what
thank you.
happened at the party last
appreciate
night.
you offering, but
What
no,
was
thank
Brian
you.
Kelly eating? Was there magicians?
No, I don't want any commentary from
Oh,
Lewis.
wait, actually, Dan, I have a quick update. Not from Lewis. It's from Lewis via Tony. Aaron Rodgers was showing off his tattoo last night to everybody, telling them about it. So
Tony came in today, and there's a lot I want to get to because it doesn't appear the Miami Heat have enough for Kevin Durant. Well, they do have enough if there wasn't a trade problem with Ben Simmons on their roster, and if there
Dumbass rule.
if there weren't.
Oh, I mean, why? Again, with these rules. And it's not just the Heat, by the way. With Bam, it's other teams. that have these designated player rookie extensions.
Crazy.
Who was this for?
Dumb rule.
Like, can you imagine trying to explain to a non-in-the-weeds basketball fan, this is why your team can't trade for Bam Adebayo because, or for Kevin Durant because of designated player extensions? Who decided that was a palatable way to construct a sports league?
For those who do not know, the Miami Heat cannot trade Bam to the Nets because they already have Ben Simmons on the roster. And if they wanted to trade Bam for Kevin Durant, it has to go through a third team. The Miami Heat do have enough to get Kevin Durant, but not if the Nets don't get Bam, and not if Kevin Durant wants to come here and play with Bam. And when you're talking about an anonymous GM being quoted as saying, because the Heat's offer is simply not good enough. It can't be good enough. But when you're talking about Ayton, Bridges, you're talking about 5 picks, according to Jake Fisher, an anonymous GM, saying 5 picks, that's not even enough. That what it's going to take a guy who is never available, never asking for a trade, is some sort of seismic offer. It's not, Heat fans are not going to get what they're used to getting, which is we get Shaq for a poo-poo platter. You cannot get this guy for a poo-poo platter that doesn't hurt so much where you're like, hey, just Duncan and Tyler, is that enough? That's not what's getting you Kevin Durant. It's not going to be enough.
I think the Heat do have enough if they could trade Bam. If you trade, because what's been out there is 2 All-Stars under 25. And the Heat can get most of the way there. If Tyler Hero is the second young prospect in a trade that also includes Bam, that will also include maybe Duncan Robinson to make salaries work, and 3 unprotected first-round picks, probably a swap or 2. Maybe you have to go find a little bit more from another team. Maybe you throw Gabe Vincent in the trade. But I think the Heat could get most of the way there if they could include Bam. But you mentioned also that Sam Amick report from The Athletic that said that Kevin Durant wants to play with all of Jimmy Butler,
right,
Bam Adebayo, and Kyle Lowry. Dude, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, really, why Lowry?
How do you think that the Heat are going to trade for you if they're keeping all these players?
The information that I have is 10 days old, so perhaps it is not useful to you. But the Heat were not willing to send away their defense and everything else to leave Jimmy Butler and Kevin Durant standing next to each other and a bunch of mismatch pieces that they would have to do the same thing they did in 2010 with a 33-year-old Kevin Durant. They weren't ready and willing to blow up the entirety of a team that got a bounce from the finals in exchange for a 33-year-old Kevin Durant that's going to cost, it would appear, a haul that the Heat cannot afford and would not be willing to part with if they could afford it through 3 teams. And what it leaves them with is a decimation of everything they constructed, and only Jimmy Butler getting paid $50 million in 4 years and Kevin Durant getting paid God knows how much in 4 years. And now you've got 2 36-year-olds making $50 million and you can't put anything around them.
So you're saying that the Heat would not do the Durant trade if it cost them everything?
That is what my information was 10 days ago. And what I think has happened since is the information I had then was ahead of the curve, and now it's well behind the curve because in the last 10 days, there's now the frenzy of the Nets realizing, wait a minute, this isn't going to be enough. We might go to training camp with whatever our headaches are because we can't go from Harden, Kyrie, and Durant to just taking poo-poo platters to get out from under it when we have trade assets that have huge value. We're not just going to fold our hand for Kevin Durant and allow him to continue hurting our organization by requesting a trade. They're not going to have the punctuation on that experiment, one of the colossal failures and embarrassments in the history of franchise creation. They are not going to have it be punctuated by, and at the very end, we were so sick of them that we got Westbrook, Simmons as our backcourt, and we couldn't get anything for one of the greatest players who's ever played.
I don't think that's going to be the case, though. I think they're going to get a ton for Kevin Durant if they decide to trade him. I mean, if Rudy Gobert is worth 3 unprotected first-round picks and a top 5 protected
I think all my information changed right there, though. I think the asking price on everything, I thought the Heat thought what they were in the game until they saw what Gobert went for. Right. And then they're like, wait a minute. This is going to take an insane package that we've never seen before in this sport.
I'm surprised, though, to hear that the Heat wouldn't part ways with that because if you do Bam, Hero, Gabe Vincent, and all your first-round picks, I think that's a championship team. Like, I think you can build enough around it. They kept Victor Oladipo. You bring back Dwayne Dedmon. Like, you have, I think, enough to go and win a championship. And
they were not willing to do that 10 days ago. They were. Dedmon is back. Cody was making fun of it when he came in here today. 2 years. I'm sure people listening to this are laughing at what you're saying. Dedmon is back. So I guess we could write the headlines, Dedmon not walking.
Yeah, Dedmon is back, and they re-signed Caleb Martin. That, in and of itself, is not a big free agency.
They're weaker, and all four of the teams that they're competing with at the top of the conference are better than they were, including Philadelphia with P.J. Tucker, who said one of the most laughable things I've seen from a departing free agent. Miami will always forever be my home.
That was a year of 5 minutes.
The Jimmy Butler comment, by the way, on his Instagram post was, it makes me wonder how difficult being a friend or teammate of Jimmy Butler is.
Oh, I thought
like,
he was fooling around.
I know,
thought,
but like to completely part with the, oh, I'll miss you, buddy, or whatever, like, and just bleep you and bleep Joel Embiid. I know he's fooling around, but to even like put that out there to me would suggest that he has no problem saying things like that behind the scenes.
But he's
like,
joking. I think he's joking.
He and Embiid are tight. That's an inside joke.
I understand, but for me, it sheds insight into what Jimmy Butler is like as a coworker.
What are you rolling your eyes about, Jessica?
You don't like kind of jokingly talk shit to your friends?
I mean, like, not as a NBA superstar where everything gets right into, but like I don't tell, like, if Tony ever left and said, you know, if he goes to the Ringer and says, oh, I'll miss the LeBatard Show, had a great time in Miami, I don't think I would put in his Instagram comments, fuck you and fuck Joel Embiid too. Like
I certainly would.
This explains why you don't have the competitive spirit of Jimmy Butler.
If Tony went to the Ringer, you would say it about Joel Embiid because it's like a strange.
Fuck you and fuck Joel Embiid.
What a non sequitur.
Speaking of Tony, he came in here today a bit ravaged. Billy, what are you're doing a private show with Tony?
No, because I'm asking.
We're always doing a private show back there,
But you're laughing the
Dan.
entire time. Can you share with me whatever the show is you're doing with Tony that's so funny?
I was trying to get the information to pass it along to you because this morning, right before we went on air, and it's the first time I've ever done it, I literally turned to Tony and go, fuck you. And I was trying to remember what it was that he said to me that instigated. It was not high. It was.
I'm not editing this hour.
You said something, and I was like, "This guy's just starting with me today. He's starting to push my buttons." And I just turned to him with a big smile on my face, and I go, "Fuck you." And then I'm like, "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that."
An immediate regret.
Yeah, I should have said that.
This is you wading into the waters Whittingham's uncomfortable with, where you're like, let's see how this feels being Jimmy Butler for a minute. Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't like it. It didn't feel right.
I'm sorry. I'm so cruel. Let me see. Jimmy Butler's gotten used to however that feels, to run around telling everyone to bleep off, and still everyone's kissing your ass. Everyone's giving you $50 million 4 years from now because you get away with telling everybody to bleep off. But I do feel like this is just the way the locker room, this passes for intimacy in the locker room.
Well, the thing is that today started with me like overhearing Tony walking in and just making a million excuses about why it is that he lost that debate yesterday to the guest. Yeah, he came in, he's like, Dan, and I'm betray your confidence. I don't care. He's like, Dan, Jim DeRogatis is full of shit. And I'm like, whoa, where was this yesterday?
I got ambushed yesterday, first off. Dan, go ahead. Do you want to lay it out so I can explain my part?
I will lay it out, but that is how I was greeted, and I had the same reaction to Tony, which was, oh, he's been stewing in this one all night. Because yesterday on the show, unexpectedly,
Doesn't feel good, does it?
I threw the show to him. First of all,
Go for a walk.
The thing that felt good yesterday to Tony, is the revelation that Adam McKay, the revelation that made everyone in the room jealous, which is Adam McKay would like to executive produce a television show or something that stars Juju and Tony. Here's Tony's on-air reaction to that news, which includes a squealing sound that I imagine Stugotz dreams about late at night. He is not here to learn that Adam McKay told me that he wants to executive produce a Juju and Tony show.
Wow. That's amazing.
That was a delighted Tony. Just this is Tony fancies himself as swaggering, cool, and walking into every room with grace and handsomeness. And this is what happened when he learned of a Juju Tony show.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Tony, what happened yesterday is that I put you in the unfair position without any warning of please be our hip hop guy, the way that Juju and you are hip hop guys. And Juju was off. It was his birthday yesterday. And so I threw the show to you. And then you broke down very superficially the new Kendrick Lamar album. And then a music journalist came at you with something you were not expecting, which is he explained to you, I'm objecting to homophobia and misogyny in hip hop. I don't like what Kendrick has done here. And you were not ready for it. And it wasn't a great position to be put in.
The problem was he said he had 30 seconds. And then that's what he led off with, misogyny and homophobia. And I was like, okay, great. How about this? And then he steamrolled me for like another 20 seconds, said, bye, I got to talk to Germany. So when you lay on, hey, I have a problem with misogyny and homophobia in hip hop, that's a bit of a longer conversation that me and you need to have, not 30 seconds. Hey, Kodak Black was on the album. What do you think about it? Right. Then he was, talking about, obviously there's a bit of homophobia in a certain song. And then I went back and listened to said song on the way in this morning 3 times. And yes, he does.
because again, this kept
preparing for this rebuttal.
It kept him up, and I can understand how it would. All of it was. I was not expecting it either. The revelation that hip hop is replete with misogyny and a bunch of different things, homophobia. But you're saying that this is something. But because Kendrick Lamar is an artist. Mm-hmm. And because he's better than most artistically, that's a $5 fine for me.
That's a
Big time.
Wow.
He's better
Big one.
artistically than most of the hip hop guys. My question to you is, in those 5 minutes, how much pain were you in, and how much did it haunt you over the course of the evening?
The whole night, which is why I came in this morning like I'm gonna have a blowtorch ready for Dear Gaddis, because I got to tell Dan that. We live in a nuanced world, and there's context to a lot of the stuff that we talk about, right? And if we're going to have a conversation about homophobia and hip-hop, I get it. I'm here for it. Like, I want to have that conversation because it's been replete with it for a long time. This song in particular is interesting to me because he talks about how 2 family members of his cousin and his aunt, both transition into different genders. So for me, I'm listening to it, I'm like, okay, he's talking about a personal experience. And then, yes, he does say a gay slur, the F word, but he's talking about it in the past tense of what he used to say before he understood what the ramifications of that word meant to his family, to his individual people in his family that were transitioning. Like, it's a very nuanced conversation to have, and it's not for 30 seconds to steamroll me and then talk to somebody in Germany.
I've not heard the song, so I have to sit out whether or not he's doing artfully the use of a word that's not for him to use. As Ice Cube went on Bill Maher and took away Bill Maher's ability to say the N-word, saying it's not yours. You don't get to use it. But I have not heard the song, and so I don't know if Kendrick Lamar was able to pull off the degree of difficulty of let me look back at my previous self and criticize him for bad language in the name of art. But I'm more interested in you being haunted by the way all of that went after making the sound that I have put on here before, which I believe is the goofiest sound that anyone around here has ever made in delight when tickled by someone tickling their ego.
That's amazing.
Yeah. The sound before that's amazing was a giggle. He giggled.
Wow.
It was joyous. That's great.
That's amazing.
And Billy has not been the same since because he doesn't know how to feel about whether or not Tony deserves this shot with
Oh,
Adam
he doesn't,
McKay.
but I know he doesn't.
What is that supposed to mean? You tried to also sow division between me and my brother Juju Gotti,
I would
saying,
never.
Oh, yeah, right, please. You were trying to sow division saying, well, his name is first. And I'm like,
That wasn't me.
Oh, no? What
That
did you
wasn't
say?
me. That was Witty or someone else. I didn't say that his name was
Yeah,
first.
Witty has been assailing my character the last month and a half. And he looks like a cop today, not Steven Spielberg.
I really don't
Haircut
understand.
thing.
Wait,
Undercover cop.
Yeah.
You guys are around them more in
Worst
that.
undercover cop of all time.
Yeah,
He really.
very obvious.
He's infiltrating a high school hallway,
Narc.
looking for. That's right.
I also think his
for dime
glasses.
bags.
I think his glasses have like the camera in the middle of it, but just like regularly. Like it looks like the spy glasses that they sell at the Sharper Image. You know.
You guys doing weeds?
He really. Where can I get some marijuana? Any idea?
Like Steve Buscemi in that meme, like, hello, fellow kids.
Can you guys tell me secretly, because I don't know the private show that Billy's always having with Tony and Lewis where they're roaring with laughter. It seems like a great show. I'd really like to listen to it. What is the relationship for real between Billy and Tony and Lewis? Because it seems like he loves them and really, really hates them.
That's, I think, exactly it. I think you've nailed it. They have a incredible interpersonal dynamic where I think they exchange their love for one another through bile and hatred.
Is it how I feel about Cody?
Greg or Chris?
Either, both.
I mean, I could blame him for Chris.
You really could. I got no alibi.
Good shout.
I was there.
But Greg is accomplished. Greg should be revered and respected.
Thank you, Billy.
Tony shouldn't, you know?
Well, I don't think Adam McKay is making a show that would respect Tony. I don't think that
Really?
one of the comedy geniuses of our time is looking at Tony and saying, you know what I've got to do here? I've got to find maximum respect for this guy so I can frame him, in a way that makes him to America someone to be held in the highest esteem where art is made.
But Dan, here's the thing: it's chess, not checkers, right? And even if I get made fun of, like I do on this show, what happens? Notoriety grows. People start to like it. People are like, "Hey, this guy's kind of funny. What's happening here?" Bam, there it is.
Agreed. I think anybody in our audience who would be interested in entertainment would take whatever the mockery is in exchange for the currency of the fame.
You know what I was telling him?
And the Bucks.
You know what I was telling him the other day? You know how he's been playing basketball with all these old guys to feel better about himself? That's not true. So he did it with McGill. McGill schooled him. He played with Bill Lawrence recently. And he was selling this Whopper the other day, a tall tale across the hall about how he had a chance to block Bill Lawrence, but he didn't because he didn't want the story to come out about how he's. I don't even know what the web he was spinning that day was, but I was like, you know what you need to do, like if you really want to make an impression on Bill Lawrence, you need to turn very quickly and break his nose with your elbow. Like that story would be incredible, and he would never forget it. Like that's what you need to do. Be like, no, and he's like. Pretending like he's tiptoeing around Bill Lawrence, and that's why he's losing to him because he's going to get a show on him.
I haven't lost to Bill Lawrence, first of all. The point that I was making to Billy yesterday, he absolutely butchered, was obviously Bill's an older guy. I do play with some of the older guys that are there, right? Bill's one of the older guys, but he's a dog. He plays really well. Low post. Almost. Low post, he's throwing bows. He's going to, reverse. Like, he's a really good player. I also do feel a sense of... like, I don't want to hurt him if I do something that would be a normal basketball play, but since he's a little older, maybe come across as dirty or something. Like, Bill's my friend. Like, that's...
All right,
that's
put it
what
on the
is.
poll, Guillermo. Is Tony telling the truth when he says he did not block Bill Lawrence's shot? Actually, another way. Let's do this another way. Did Tony not block Bill Lawrence's shot because he thinks he's the next Ted Lasso?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's not checkers, guys.
So it is that. Okay, so you think that Bill Lawrence might make you the next center. I mean, now that there's a bidding war for the Juju and Tony show,
I like it.
you think that not blocking his shot will curry favor with him so that he might put you in his next project, which is filming locally in Miami. Very good. It's a smart play by you. There's a little bit of Stugotz in everybody.
He actually told me that he got a role in Bill Lawrence's next thing.
Stugotz did?
Yeah.
No.
He said he was talking to him about it.
No, he wants to be in Ted Lasso, not in the next thing.
Way.
Stugotz has said, "Oh yeah, buddy, I'm working with Bill Lawrence right now to try and get in Ted season 3 of Ted Lasso. Need another American character. Yeah, we don't have enough with Jason Sudeikis and Coach Beard, and we got to have more American characters. Stugotz is what's missing. Manager of Burnley, Stugotz.
Yeah, more unqualified coaches in Ted Lasso.
The best thing about it, because now that you're talking it out more, I remember the story better. The best thing about it is like, so I was pitching him a character. It was going to be this, former lacrosse coach who now doesn't have a team to coach. And I go, that's you. You're just pitching yourself. It's like, yeah, but like every team needs a coach, buddy. It'll be fine.
You guys, I realized something the other day when talking to a friend of mine who had his life ruined by somebody, just ruined. This lying is a pathology, correct? Like this is a pathological liar. It is something that we do around here as a joke, fooling around, but it's also true. Stugots has like if we were to diagnose him, it would be if somebody can clinically learn that he is a pathological liar, that even when the truth will suffice, he will lie because there's something in there that makes him lie because he needs to lie about everything.
Yeah, can't control himself.
In my undercover cop mode today, I'm really starting to learn the tricks of the trade. I think I probably came into this environment a little bit too wide-eyed. I believe Stugots on a lot of occasions at the beginning. And now I start to recognize when he leaves me breadcrumbs. Like I should have recognized some of them when he up and left on a Sunday afternoon to California and told us that we were not going to have a co-host the next day because he was just going to California. I should have recognized him. And now I think I'm starting to see the signs of when he's doing a thing. Like for example, he's starting to be like, "Hey, so on Friday in Lake Tahoe, like when's the latest that I have to be there?" It's because he's planning an exit. Yeah. He's planning an exit. Hopefully, we'll get a lot of shit before then. He's planning an exit in Lake Tahoe, and I'm on to him.
Okay, you are not a good private investigator. You're on to him very late. My question to the group...
We've been telling you this for 4 days.
You're saying you're on to him, and you've already been embarrassed, and he's not respecting you, and he's going to continue to try and test these boundaries. And he's not going to Tahoe next year if we don't get something more than a golf shot that hits somebody in the balls. But
we need a bigger celebrity than Ray Romano to hit Chris in the leg with a golf ball, I think. And then we'll be good for next year. Greg, you can go. Roy, you can go.
Yes.
Billy and I will still probably sit it out. It's kind of just a farm.
You and me, Roy.
Damn right.
Let's go.
I'll be a caddy.
Are you guys willing to put forth publicly the idea that he can be diagnosed as a pathological liar? Is this are you guys willing? Because I say pathological liar, now all of a sudden it's not quite as charming. I don't believe.
Well, that is the reason why I wouldn't say it's pathological, because I still find him so charming. Even though he's lying to my face, I know he's scheming. But
that doesn't make it not pathological lying. It just makes you the rationalizer who is allowing him to get away with the pathological lies, and all of us.
To be pathological, don't you have to believe your own lies as the truth? Because I don't think that he does. I think that he's aware of what he's a story. Let's rephrase it.
Well, do you guys think
he's a storyteller?
Okay, but you guys think that Trump is a pathological liar, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
I would
say narcissistic, which probably goes hand in hand. Stugots, I don't believe, has that much narcissism in him. Maybe he does. I just feel like he is very manipulative, and he will charm you to be able to get what he wants out of you.
I think of him like William Shakespeare. Wow. You know what I mean?
Wow.
He's just someone that comes and he tells tales that entertain the masses.
He's a bard?
Yeah, exactly.
A bard.
In a language no one can understand.
Exactly.
I was not expecting the 1700s word bard.
Put it on the poll. Is Stugots a bard?
Is Stugots a bard?
Greg Cody just slayed with that joke. Give him the laugh.
It was a great joke.
What
you
joke?
Deserve it. Which joke? The one about
my God.
in a language no one understands.
Oh, right, yes.
It's a Shakespearean language that no one understands. Stugots. We should figure out how to make Stugots a modern day Shakespearean character. Speaking a language that none of us understand, telling stories that are in no way true, that 200 years from now, when people see what we've made of America, he will pass for our greatest scholar. When all of us are breathing out of a tube through the bottom of the ocean in what remains of America.
I have a question, Billy. So you do think Stugots is a little narcissistic?
I mean,
he just made a sound that couldn't be totally understood. He's got his own language back there. I don't think that he said that. He just made a sound.
Sometimes I just make noises. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But you have the cleanest view of him.
Yeah.
You're the one who has the most information on dealing with him. Whittingham's new to this game.
No, well, he's learned not to give me information, and we had a heart-to-heart after his last disappearance, where I said, Stugots, like, I get the feeling that everybody thinks that I knew you were going to disappear. Like I was getting like this feeling like if almost like I was complicit on this disappearance of yours, and I was not.
Have you ever gotten blamed? I don't think anybody blames you.
No,
Nobody
not
can
blamed.
corral him.
No, not blamed. But I came in and I'm like, it just seemed like he just disappeared. I was like, you know where Stugotz is? I'm like, no, I thought he was here today. And I'm like,
You
well,
found out later than everyone else.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
were literally the last one to find out that he was not coming in.
Well, yeah. So I had a serious conversation, a heart to heart with Stugotz, in which I told him, I go, thank you for not telling me you were going to do that, because like I don't want to be complicit in these things. I go, and he's like, don't worry, buddy, I won't tell you that much moving forward. I'm like, no. Stugotz, let me know what I need to know, but don't let me know enough where I'm either complicit or I'm going to have to, testify against you. Like, that's the line.
Under oath.
Give me information that's beneficial, but not that can be used against you, because I don't want to be the one that has to put you away.
But this is where the narcissism kills you. He does not consider how anything affects anybody other than him. This
Yes,
might
I
not
agree.
That sounds to me like textbook narcissism. I don't think I'd accuse Stugotz of general narcissism, but this is it. He is in no way, when he is making his plans, considering, not for one dollop of a percentage, not just us, you in any way or how it affects you.
Well, I mean, he did have grandiose plans of everything he wanted to record this week, but I don't think he took into account how little time he was going to have to do all of those things.
He didn't take into account that you're not available at midnight when he wants to do them.
But he's not going to be like, okay, I know how the schedule works. I know what time his tea time is, even though he told me he didn't know what time it was. I know it's at 1:00 local time, right? I know after 1:00 local time today, he's done for the day. Like, he's going to be, like, everything has to be done before then, but we're on the air before then. And I know that he's trying to get out early tomorrow. So, like, when I see the 50 things that he's like, let's do all these things, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, this one's a maybe. This one's probably not going to happen. So, like, I kind of know. I think he has good intentions. I just think that sometimes the planning and the execution is where things get a little,
Well,
muddled.
I think he tells you what you want to hear, which is, I'm available. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do all these things that are going to make Billy happy, make the company happy. But then he really can't follow through on all of them because he's trying to just make everyone happy. But he really only cares about what will make him happy, which is then golfing, smoking a cigarette, and having a beer, and then going to bed.
I think you hit upon something when you said
Smoking a dog walker.
He tells people what they want to hear. He's a self-aggrandizing liar, not a hurtful liar. And the example I would use is, a couple of weeks ago, he's like, buddy, you got to go to Lake Tahoe again. I want you in my playing group. You'll definitely be there. I'm going to make it happen for you. So in that moment, he feels like a big shot. He makes me feel very good, and then nothing
100%.
comes of it.
Greg, yes, I'm at the Grateful Dead concert, and he's like, Smetty, I'm gonna call you. Smetty, I'm gonna call you. Smetty, we'll meet up. Smetty, this, and then
Right.
I'm there, and I'm like, where are your seats? And he's like, oh, I'm in the second row, and I can't leave. Smetty, I'll talk to you later. I'm like, okay, bye.
I have never in my life had any relationship with anyone that I can say this about. The words mean nothing. Whatever the word is, a man is only as good as his word. Stugotz's word is not true.
oh, I think he means well.
Not the point. The word is not true. I don't want to talk about the intent. The words coming out of his mouth, none of them matter. Man, he argued earlier this week every side of Freddie Freeman, and he doesn't give a single solitary bleep about anything happening with Freddie Freeman, but took every position because he knows the words don't have any consequences. It's just an avalanche stream tapestry of lies, and everyone will accept it, and he will go to Tahoe with a free trip where he makes his own rules, and we don't get any content if Cody doesn't flub a shot.
Or if Ray Romano doesn't flub a shot.
That's what we're going to promise you, Kelsey and Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers.
He's
and
following them today for 18 holes. That's what he promised Witty.
That's exciting.
Kelsey and Mahomes.
This has been 2 years of promises that he's going to be golfing with Mahomes and he's going to bring him over, right?
That's not how it works. You can't just follow Mahomes for 18 holes.
I bought equipment so that Stugots could do this. Out of my own pocket.
You were next.
I
See,
bought
last
things.
year you were with him.
Expensive.
You spent your own money on company stuff? What are you thinking? Expense it right now. Expense it. Go open your laptop. Open your.
I don't have my laptop on.
You didn't have Stugotz last year either. You bought the equipment.
Screenshot those receipts.
Yeah, so I have like portable equipment so that it would sound good. I could give Stugotz a lav mic so he doesn't even have to walk around holding a microphone. He's just talking into a mic, although I think that microphone would explode with how loud he is.
How is he always so loud?
He's so loud. But I bought all this shit so that he can walk around a golf course with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. And then, of course, it happened because why the hell would it happen? Because, again, to Greg's point, he's like, he thinks I can just call the tournament organizers and be like, hey, this nationally televised product on NBC, can I just make a complete mess of it? No. Okay.
Speaking of lying, I believe, you mentioned Hank Goldberg earlier, Billy. I believe that Greg Cote has been turning the volume up as one must in times of death to say things about Hank Goldberg that he does not actually believe in the name of being someone who looks like he is publicly kind to someone who has just passed away and has to defer and kneel at the altar. So I want to know what the truth is, not what you've written or what you've said. You had an old-timey week this week. You went on Deadline. You wrote a Deadline column off a Marlins game off an ace.
Yes, Sandy Alcantara.
I'm not sure that's how his name is pronounced, but
Alcantara.
No, I just don't know.
Alcantara.
That's the way that it's been Americanized. I'd like to ask him what his name actually is.
Who would have thought that the Marlins would have 2 column-worthy games on back-to-back nights?
I know.
Could have gone last night for the Shohei game.
I was going to go to both in a row, but I couldn't take 2 Marlins columns in a row. I just couldn't. My career couldn't take it. No, seriously.